Hi everybody, and welcome to day 2 of this epic Mario marathon. I'm going to be starting off with Galaxy 2 Any%, which I actually did for last year's Mario marathon. And just got to say, not a whole lot has changed in that last year, so I'm going to aim for a sub 3-hour time this run. I have no idea what the chances of me getting that are, but we shall see. So let's just go ahead and get this baby rolling, because we got 3 hours of comfy Mario to start today off with. So let's get started. 3, 2, 1, video games. So when I normally commentate these runs, I usually do my whole spiel of explaining everything and whatnot, but I'll still be doing a little bit of that for people who haven't seen this run before. But I think for today, because I already did this run for you guys a year ago, I kind of want to dive a bit more into just some of the background of speedrunning this game and some of its history. So right away, I'll go ahead and mention that this opening prologue sequence has actually had a massive change, sort of, over the past few months. There was recently a new skip here that I'm not going to be going for because it is extremely stupid. And very inconsistent, and only a handful of people have even pulled it off, let alone RTA. So there's a really weird piece of tech in the Galaxy games known as crystal floating, and if you've seen speedruns of Galaxy 1 recently, you probably know what I'm referring to. So these crystals that you see falling there that have like star bits and stuff in them, they try to push you off when you jump on them, but depending on the directions you're holding, sometimes it can invert the effect of gravity on you and cause you to just float up super high. So what you can do in the prologue sequence is use one of those crystals to achieve a crystal float that lets you fly over this giant invisible wall and get around the trigger for this first cutscene. So you can access the next cutscene that's right after this, like 30 seconds faster. It has been done RTA by a couple people, I think, but it is extremely inconsistent, and I've never even bothered attempting it, let alone practicing it or attempting it in a run. So I'm just gonna opt out of that here. So there hasn't been like a world record time set with that skip yet, just because, again, it's extremely inconsistent, and it's honestly unclear if we ever will see one anytime soon. But that's just kind of one of the newer developments that's been featured in this game. So if you're unfamiliar with this run, it's basically just a 71-star run, because you need 70 stars to unlock the final Bowser level, and then you get the final Grand Star to actually finish the game. So it's somewhat similar to the previous Galaxy game in SN64 in that regard. So a lot of the skips and stuff in this game are mostly just kind of a matter of platforming and abusing Mario's various like jump mechanics, as well as the mechanics of gravity, because that's kind of a new feature of the Galaxy games. So for example, right here, I do a strat that saved like 10 minutes, 1 second. As far as speedrunning goes, I think that's basically just the same thing. So kind of stuff like that, I think, is what makes this game super entertaining to speedrun, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a bunch of really cool strats like that. Basically every single star in this run has some cool strat you can do. And it's one of the reasons why I love running this game so much. Okay, hopefully I don't soft lock on this fight, because then I have to redo the entire first 4 minutes of the run. Because, yeah, it is possible to get a soft lock here. Okay, we're good. So yeah, if you shoot Pee-wee with star bits right as right as the cutscene is supposed to start, then the cutscene just doesn't start, and you're just perpetually locked in that state. And since this is the first star of the run, you can't, like, exit back to the overworld or anything like that, so you just have to reset the game, and that loses all of your progress. But thankfully that didn't happen. That is not the only potential for soft locking in this run, by the way. But it's pretty rare. Knock on wood. I accidentally got a star bit. So, I want to try to avoid... Hold on, I'm actually gonna stop talking here. Text is really hard to do. I'll get into why I'm playing on Japanese here in a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, first thing I was gonna say is, so getting coins and star bits in levels, for the most part, actually wastes time, because it brings up those text boxes that count them down, so I want to try to avoid that as much as possible, which is why you see me shooting out my star bits. And as for star bits that I'll need for this run, I'll be getting them all from the bank toad later on. And as for why I'm playing on Japanese, I'm actually playing on the Japanese Wii U Virtual Console release, which has two benefits: slightly faster loads than playing on disc, and also faster text. Japanese is faster than English. This actually isn't the fastest version of this game for this category. The optimal version for any percent is actually the Chinese disc version, which I did try to buy and failed miserably. I accidentally bought a Japanese disc instead of a Chinese disc, so now I have a Japanese disc that's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. But this version's still pretty fast. It's only like 18 seconds slower than Chinese disc. There's no Chinese VC release, by the way. Okay. This is a star I tend to struggle with a lot. Just because there's a lot of really tricky parts to it. Especially this cylinder planet coming up here. And in most optimal routes, this star isn't even done anymore. There's like... Routing for this game has gotten so complicated over the past couple of years due to a multitude of reasons. And basically every top runner does a different route now. It's ridiculously hard to keep track of. Yeah, I'm one of the few people who still does this route. Okay, so I just executed... Okay, aside from getting hit by that amp, I just executed that cylinder planet basically perfectly. And on that planet, you're at the mercy of the platform cycles, and sometimes they just kind of get in your way and screw you over. Play it safe on this last planet, because there's a somewhat risky jump I'll be going for here, and if I die to it, that's a big chunk of time lost. No safety spin there. That was a really good sky station too. One of the annoying parts about running this game is that, unlike the first Galaxy game, in order to activate checkpoints, you actually have to touch the physical checkpoint flags, whereas in Galaxy 1, they just kind of get triggered automatically. So, and a lot of these stars, I'm just going to be skipping those because of all the strats I'm going to be going for. But that means if I die, it is very punishing. So... There may be some periods where you'll see me grab, like, a safety checkpoint that only wastes, like, half a second to get. Or I might play some seconds a little bit safer. So now we get to talk about Yoshi. And if you know anything about Galaxy 2 speedrunning, or even just Galaxy 2 glitches, then you know what we're in for here. Yoshi has a very broken glitch known as infinite fluttering that I want to say was discovered relatively soon after the game's release. And the name kind of speaks for itself. It basically allows you to flutter in the air for as long as you want, but it does have it's pretty overpowered, but it does have its drawbacks. And I'm going to be using it in basically every single level that has Yoshi. So, for example, here I'm going to be going for a rather tough skip. That's always good to get. So that skip is a classic example of it only saves about 20 seconds, but if you fail it and die, you lose about 45. There's a lot of high-risk, semi-low reward strategies like that in this game. So, I guess I should explain how to infinite flutter. Basically, you crouch midway through a flutter, which cancels both the flutter and the cooldown timer that normally takes place after that, and then it just allows you to immediately begin fluttering again. But you have to be really careful with the inputs. Because the way you kind of have to do it, there's a very particular rhythm that you kind of have to master, but once you get the hang of it, it just becomes muscle memory. Basically, you have to hold A to flutter, press Z while holding A to crouch, let go of A, let go of Z, and then press A again. And you have to do that in a very quick window. As you saw there, infinite fluttering like that can allow you to move with quite a bit of speed, which makes it pretty trivial to cross large gaps, which is very useful for skipping stuff, but you can only maintain that speed for about 10 seconds, unless you resort to some other complicated techniques. But after that, you basically move at a snail's pace. So, last year when I did this run, the stream randomly disconnected during this star, so hopefully it doesn't do that so you can actually see what this star entails. Okay, I wasn't sure if I did that flutter correctly, but we're good. So that's probably the single biggest infinite flutter skip in the entire game, or at least in this run. Because I basically just skipped an entire minute of the level. Now I have this boss fight, which is super fun. So during this star, I'm going to be activating the Co-Star Luma, because that just lets me get that first time text box out of the way. So, hold on, let me focus here so I can get this strat. So, one of the more interesting mechanics in both the Galaxy games is two-player mode, or to be more specific, a co-star mode. And in this game, the second player actually takes the form of an orange Luma that you saw there. And I'll be activating it for several different stars. And that's just because the co-star Luma can do a lot of things that can greatly... It saves you small chunks of time here and there, but it greatly adds up over the course of this run. So... Yes, I am playing with, I don't have a webcam on so you can't see, but I am playing with two Wii Remotes Velcro strapped together. And this, you would think it's a pretty obvious thing to include, but there's actually a lot of runners who still use one player, just because, you know, it's sort of a matter of preference, even though using co-star is objectively better, but, like, in terms of time. But, you know, for some people, it's just a matter of comfort. And it's a movement that has somewhat kicked up. I want to say it kicked up somewhere around 2021, 2022. I'm sure if you follow Galaxy speedrunning, you know who Jay is. And I don't think he necessarily... It's hard to say whether he necessarily popularized the idea of using co-star for these games, but I think if it weren't... I'm willing to say that if it weren't for him, it might have taken a little bit longer for it to become a bit more standard. And you might be wondering why I'm not using it, why I don't have it activated all the time, and that's for battery preservation. So I'm only going to be activating co-stars on the stars where I plan on using it. I turned the camera one too many times there, hopefully that doesn't throw things off. This is unfortunately one of the few stars that you actually have. You literally cannot make progress in the game unless you collect this star. I think it's one of 10 stars that applies to. But it's got a lot of cool strats in it, so it's... Like, for example, there I just shot Captain Toad in the face, so I didn't have to talk to him. And then there's this boss, which is the living embodiment of RNG. The first phase is very standard, but the second phase is where it gets fun. Okay, that is actually not what I wanted to have happen. I wanted Dick-a-Lake to jump on top of me. I don't know what the odds are, but I'm going to pretend that it's 50-50. And this fight can be a major time swing in the early game. It's not like that much of a time difference, but with the level of optimization this game is at, that was really stupid. With the level of optimization this game is at, getting good RNG definitely makes a huge difference at this level. So, that time it jumped on top of me, but I somehow didn't end up underneath it. That's... As you'll come to see, the physics in the Galaxy games are somewhat questionable and inconsistent. So I probably lost, like, 8 seconds, I'm guessing, on that star, mostly just from RNG. Not a whole lot you can do about it, unfortunately. So one of the major aspects of routing in this game, honestly though it hasn't really come into play as much in the past few years, is some stars bring you to other areas of the starship, like the bottom, or like into this engine room that's completely useless. And that can make travel time back to the next level a little bit longer. And then some stars also trigger certain events, like mail toad letters and stuff. What else is there to talk about? If anybody has any questions in chat about this game in general, I am paying attention to it, so, you know, feel free to ask away, and I'll try and answer them. This game has a lot of downtime, so it's really easy to look at chat. Okay, that was kind of scary. So I got a spin bonk there, which is normally really, really bad, but thankfully I was able to chain it into a ledge grab. There are certain situations where getting a spin bonk like that just equals instant death. And this is a very tricky section right here. So sometimes I go for some box skips on that first set, but I didn't really get to here. Alright, got to show off there. So getting crushed in this game is an instant death, so you can understand why those are risky to go for. I feel like I was gonna say something, but I already forgot what it was, so whatever. Probably wasn't that important. That's another pretty difficult star to do. A lot of room for potential mistakes. And as I said, most mistakes in this game are very, very punishing, so it's nice to get through a star like that in one piece. So I'm activating Co-Star for this star, because one of its abilities, I'm going to be doing the Secret Star, which is the box breaking minigame. And the Co-Star limit actually has the ability to break boxes, which can save a small amount of time just in the movement here. So, for example, right here, I'm going to use the Luma to break the box that's directly behind me. And then for any boxes that I miss, like that one, I can just use the Co-Star Luma to get them like that. So that probably saved me, like... That's not the optimal way of doing that, but even doing it that way probably saved me, like, 2 seconds. Again, it's things like that that sort of add up over the course of this run, and it's one of the reasons why Co-Star is so beneficial, and also somewhat controversial, but we're not going to get into that. That's the Bank Toad. He's going to be helping us out here in a few stars from now. So another advantage of Co-Star is that this Co-Star Luma can actually grab other coins for you and then just sort of bring them to you. And in coin collecting missions, like the one I'm about to do, that can save a lot of... It saves... How to describe the time save is somewhat difficult, because on the one hand, you don't have to go out of your way for coins as much, which can save a little bit of time and movement and streamline things a little bit. But then on the other hand, if you miss coins, then instead of having to go all the way back for them, you can just grab them with Co-Star and keep going forward. So basically, any star that revolves around coin collecting, whether it be the coin Lumas or purple coin missions, you'll see the Co-Star Luma active for one of those two reasons. Also, the cloud suit is hilariously broken. It has really, really janky physics. So now I don't need the Co-Star Luma for the next few stars, so I'm gonna turn my second player Wii Remote off. That was a really good star. That was only 0.2 off my gold. Here's a star where you're going to be seeing another really big skip. This one's kind of a classic. Oh, I messed up there. Okay. Getting onto that tree using just 2 backflips is really, really hard. Because you can kind of get momentum boosts from the clouds when you kind of like jump out while they're bouncing, but it's pretty fickle. And sometimes the height you can get is not enough. But thankfully it worked out there. So yeah, I just skipped like a minute of the level. Because they just didn't put a death plane there. And by abusing Cloud Mario's floaty mechanics, you can just kind of cross that gap with very little issue. So here's an example of being brought down to the engine room. There's literally no purpose to this room, as far as I'm aware. See, yeah, you can see the power-ups are on display, but you can't actually use them. It's just kind of here, for no explicable reason. Okay. Now we're going to be heading to the first of the, I guess you could say, castle levels of the run. These are all usually really hard stages. The boss of this stage, Gobblegut, is notoriously difficult and is pretty infamous for causing a lot of runners, especially newer runners. It can cause them a lot of trouble. Guess I made that cycle. And speaking of how gravity is extremely broken in this game, the gravity sphere of that planet is just huge. Let's hope this goes well. This is the kind of boss where you basically need to do everything perfectly, and if you make just one mistake, then you just have to improvise. And it's like an automatic... You usually lose like at least 15 seconds, if not more. Okay, good start. Okay, I am amazed that that still worked. I turned around way too early there. You're supposed to turn around at a very specific time to sort of manipulate Gobblegut's movement so that you can get those last 3 hits. He was just barely close enough to the planet for that to work out. So... Alright, 2830 World 1 is actually, like, insanely good for me. At least for a no reset. With, like, extremely advanced strats, you can get it, at least on the route I'm on, you can get, like, a sub 28 World 1, but I don't go for all those crazy strats. I kind of like to focus on consistency. As evidenced by my PB being only 3 minutes off my summit best. World 2 is definitely, of the 6 world segments in this run, World 2 is the shortest by quite a bit. Again, with the route I'm using. On other routes, it can be a little bit longer. So, that was kind of funny. I should probably explain that. So, basically, what I'm doing when I land for most launch stars is going into first person and then exiting it immediately afterwards. And that basically cancels the... it skips the landing animation that normally happens when you land from a launch star. And it saves like a second each time you do it, and it greatly adds up over the course of the run. You can also do a frame-perfect jump out of... landing animations, but that's really only worth going for at the start of levels. It's probably one of the most important pieces of tech in this game. Alright, I unfortunately did not get any double pounds, which is kind of expected. Okay, I meant to side flip there, but that still works. And yes, that is a boss from Galaxy 1. There's a lot of stuff that was just ported straight from Galaxy 1 into this game. Especially in World S, but we won't be seeing that in this run. That's all post-game stuff anyways. So we got more boring exposition, and it's all in Japanese, so you have no idea what level's talking about. This is a pretty fun star, especially to watch, as we get to go zoom with Yoshi. Oh yeah, I was going to mention, on the topic of this game pulling a lot of content from Galaxy 1, this game was originally intended to just be DLC for the first Galaxy game, but they had so many ideas that they eventually just decided to transform it into a sequel. And that's how we got this. So I'm using Co-Star on this star for the very important task of saving like half a second by breaking Yoshi's egg for me. And also I can shoot out star bits that I don't want. Because you can't normally shoot out star bits while you're on Yoshi, but if you have the second player cursor active, then you can. That jump is completely pointless, but I always like going for it. Shoutouts to Jada7, basically the routing master of this game, who also came up with that flutter. And there's a few other strats that he came up with. I briefly forgot what I was doing there for a second. So as a result, that ending was not nearly as stylish as it could have been. I like kind of brain farted. Can't be letting that happen. So you would think that for a water level that this would be really boring, but it actually isn't. The routing here is extremely complicated to explain. Because I'm going to be doing another coin Luma, but I'm not actually going to be getting that star right away. And I'm also going to be using a co-star to get a bunch of coins to streamline everything a little bit. So in the first Galaxy game, you could just spam spins underwater to go really, really fast. They added a cooldown timer between spins in this game, so you can't really do that. So I'm basically just going to be using the shell. Where's my... I kind of lost my... I lost my one-player cursor for a second. It, like, went off screen. Whatever, it didn't cost me any time. That's kind of slow, but what can you do? So I'm just gonna ditch this launch star right away, and I'm gonna be getting that star on the next star. Just because the routing works out better that way. Now we get to a crucial point in the run. I have to not accidentally select Cosmic Cove 2 here, so my sensor bar needs to be nice to me. But first we get to watch the male toad walk in a circle for several seconds. Some variations of this route are able to greatly reduce the length of that cutscene, but not the one I'm doing. Alright, so my pointer needs to behave itself here. And if it doesn't, I lose 30 seconds. Alright, we're good. I don't need to unlock the Hungry Luma again. I can just beeline straight to the launch star. Strat with this bunny here, which happens to be the only bunny in the game, weirdly enough. Okay, that sucks. So I was trying to stun that bunny with Star Bits so I could get it to run the wrong direction, and then it would just run right into me. But my aim was not particularly on point there, so I had to resort to doing it the intended way. So it was about 8 seconds lost, which is not a huge deal. I should mention I'm playing on a new setup, so... and more specifically, I am in a different position relative to my TV and sensor bar, so... I haven't quite gotten used to aiming with this with the pointer here yet. So what I just did there was withdraw star bits that I had deposited into the bank toad from another save file. And I'm going to be using all of those star bits to unlock all the Hungry Luma galaxies that I need to unlock. So that does sort of make this a New Game Plus run thing, but at this point it's basically standard. Like, it's very rare to find somebody who does runs of this game without using Bank Toad. Because usually these Hungry Luma galaxies give access to really fast stars, so it's definitely worth unlocking them. For example, this galaxy has, I think, the fastest star in the entire game that isn't a green star, at least in terms of in-game time. Yeah, that's literally the star. I'm actually going to be going back and getting the other star there, and the story of Honey Bloom 1 is definitely an interesting one with regards to SMG2 any percent. Because for the longest time, I've been running this game since 2015, and for the longest time, Honey Bloom 1 was just one of those stars that was always deemed too slow to be in the any percent route, because it's primarily a B Mario level. And then I mentioned Jada 7 earlier, came in sometime around 2018, I want to say, and kind of proposed the idea of doing certain other stars in the run, one of which being Honey Bloom 1, and we all just kind of laughed it off and thought he was just trying to get attention. And then he eventually posted a video of Honey Bloom 1 strats in like early 2019. And we realized, oh shoot, this star actually is kind of fast. And so this star has just kind of become a staple of SMG2 any percent since then. Pretty much all of the current fastest routes through this star. Okay, I'm gonna hold this in place. So that's the reason I have Co-Star activated during this level, in case I need to freeze enemies. Because it can also freeze enemies, and it can also kill some, like, weaker enemies. Unfortunately, I can't kill those Choppas with it. I can only just hold them in place. This is a really, really hard level to do fast enough for it to be viable, though. There's a lot of really precise jumps you have to make. Like, for example, I was jumping on a bunch of clouds in the Common Metal section. You only have about a 6-frame window to do those jumps. It's either 5 or 6 frames, I don't remember. But B Mario is slow, so you want to skip it as much as possible. You actually can skip B Mario for this final section, and I think if you do it perfectly, it would be faster. But A, I don't know how viable it would be to do it as Mario, and B, it's way too difficult for anyone to go for. Mostly just because of this ending section right here. Okay. That wasn't quite perfect, but that was definitely acceptable. So it's just kind of neat that Honey Bloom 1 used to be regarded as this star that just would never be in the any percent route, and now pretty much everybody does it. Okay, time for Bowser's lava lair. This stage is just kind of one thing after the other, and it's it's really satisfying to pull the stage off well, and there's also a lot of different strategies you can use for it. Basically, this whole stage revolves around health management because there's a lot of lava boosting for various skips. I got on my way here to grab that life shroom, which this isn't the optimal way to play the stage, but it gives me a little bit of an additional safety net. And I can also use Co-Star to hold points behind me, and then when I need them for damage boosts, I can let it give the point to me like that. Which basically just, again, it's just kind of a safety net. That's a pretty scary part of the level, because that can very easily go wrong. So this stage is also just a perfect demonstration of all the benefits Co-Star gives you. Like you saw, I was able to freeze some enemies, I was able to grab the life string without going too far out of my way, I was able to hold coins behind me to make things a little bit safer. Now I have the first Bowser fight, which is really boring. There's not a whole lot of room for optimization in these Bowser fights, especially this first one. The second and third one kind of up the ante a little bit. But for this one, it's basically just about not losing time. That was pretty standard. Messing up a hit or like missing a cycle on that fight loses about 20 seconds. So it's really a frustrating mistake to make. And especially so on this fight because this fight is so easy compared to the other two. And that's the end of the World 2 segment. So I would say World 3 is where the run takes a massive jump up in difficulty. Not that it wasn't difficult before. But this is where mistakes start becoming a lot more costly. So Clouded Court 1 is basically just abusing all the mechanics of the Cloud Flower to its fullest. There's a lot of really cool strats you can do with the Cloud Flower. You can abuse the momentum from the clouds to gain a lot of height and distance with your long jumps. Get those cloud boosted long jumps. You can also just use the clouds to cross large gaps and skip parts of the level. This 2D section is where things get a little bit scary. That one cycle is super scary. Because if you just miss the cycle, then you lose about 10 seconds, but if you get crushed, that's like 30. Because you go all the way back to the start of the 2D section. And as you saw, at least with the strat I use for it, you barely have any leeway with it. Okay, anybody in chat is present. This next star is where we get to do our little guessing games. So you can guess what score I'm gonna get on the chimp skating minigame. As always, the rules are you can only guess in multiples of 10, and you can only guess scores between like 500 and 900. And my rules are whoever's closest, if not exact, wins. And I will be going for as high a score as possible. And yes, I am skating backwards. Don't ask why that's possible. Oh, okay. I got thrown off a little bit there, but back. So the patterns for the gummits are always the same, but there's 3 different rotations they can have. But once you know what rotation pattern you're on, it's fixed for the rest of the minigame, so you can sort of come up with movement for... Okay, looks like Jersey Joe's wins. And all you get is the satisfaction of winning. So if you watch top-level Galaxy 2 speedruns, you're probably aware that Freezy Flake is somewhat of a notorious galaxy, because one of the stars in this galaxy, Freezy Flake 2, in fact, which I'm not going to be doing in this run, has a very, very notorious skip that requires heavy exploitation of the rock mushroom and was once thought to be TAS only, and then IL only, and then Valu, a previous world record holder in this game, came up with a way to make the infinite rock jump tech a bit more consistent for RTA players, and so now you see world record speedruns with Freezy Flake 2 done in it, but I am not quite good enough at that star. I'm not quite consistent enough at that trick to feel comfortable going for it in a marathon, so I'm just going to do my standard out here. Because it can save up to about 30 seconds if you do that star over a different star, but if it doesn't go well, then you're kind of just screwed. Although, in my current PB, because I had lost a bunch of time earlier in the run, I actually went off route to do Freezy Flake 2 in an effort to try to bring the run back, and I actually did manage to fluke it. And, I ended up getting my first ever 258, which is still my PB to this day. So, that's kind of hilarious. And that's the only time we're going to be seeing Luigi in this run. Starting from this point onwards, you can't switch to him at the start of levels where he appears, but it's way too slow for the amount of time you would save. And you can only switch between Mario and Luigi freely in post-game. So this entire run is basically just done as Mario, which isn't a huge deal. So by using a co-star there to stun those Octoboos, I can more safely make it through them without having to worry about getting hit. Which is very important because there's a lot of cycles you have to make in this star, most notably this one. And if you miss it, that's usually about like 8 seconds or so, or more depending on how badly you miss it. And sometimes those Octoboos just get in your way and damage you, and there goes your cycle. So stunning them like that, it's a little bit easier to get past them. Alright, we haven't seen Yoshi for a while. Who's ready for some more infinite fluttering? So yeah, infinite fluttering may look somewhat trivial, but the hardest part of infinite fluttering isn't even necessarily the rhythm for the inputs that I described earlier. It's the holding the right angles during each flutter, because there's very specific angles you need to hold in order to get the right amount of momentum. And if you hold the wrong angles, then you lose some of your momentum, and it can often just be a massive... It can really screw you over, basically. There's a lot of nuances to infinite fluttering, and it takes quite a bit of time to master. And then this star is kind of just the epitome of what everybody thinks Mario Galaxy speedrunning is before they actually watch it, which is just a bunch of long jumps. So you would think that compared to games like Mario 64 or Sunshine or Odyssey, that the movement tech in the Galaxy games doesn't offer nearly as many options. But let me just tell you firsthand, that is not the case. The movement in these games is extremely hard to master. And honestly, it mostly kind of revolves around the platforming. Basically trying to do the platforming as effectively as possible, and also momentum conservation, and just kind of keeping the flow going. So it definitely does make a difference. Oh yeah, by the way, comets are now spawning. So those giant coins I've been collecting in most galaxies, those are comet medals, and those are what I need. Those are what I need to collect in order to unlock all those comets. The exact times and order in which comets spawn is another big factor of routing in this game. Time for B Block Galaxy. This is another level that's mostly just a bunch of long jumps, but this time cycles play a role. And I haven't yet mentioned this, in Galaxy 2, it doesn't really apply to this level, but in the Mario Galaxy games, cycles, for the most part, are local. So, stuff only moves when it's on screen or when you're near it. So that's why sometimes you'll see me turn the camera to manipulate cycles. But obviously in this level, everything's just kind of on a fixed timer. Okay, that's good. That final long jump is somewhat tricky to do, because for the optimal angle, it's actually between the right and upright notches. And if you hold the wrong angle, it's very easy to bonk on one of those blocks and fall to your death. So I'm going to do my first little backtracking session of the run. Flip Swap is yet another infamous star for Galaxy 2 speedrunners. Very easy to lose a lot of time on this star, and it's a pretty common run killer. So, the way momentum works in this game is that if something underneath you is moving, then its movement is actually applied to the momentum of your jumps. So if it's moving upwards, your jumps get a lot of additional height, and you've seen that already with like the cloud-boosted jumps and whatnot. These flip swap panels, you can also take advantage of that with these, and it can lead to some pretty crazy stuff. So I'll just let you see for yourself. Uh-oh, okay. Save that. For some reason, the one didn't grab the... He didn't grab the lasers like he was supposed to. So, that was a little bit sloppy, but at least I didn't die. Now we get into the the first of the comets. So going out of your way to get comet medals can be very beneficial, because a lot of the comet stars are usually really fast. Also our first introduction to the Rainbow Star. I missed that, Spiny. But Spiny is pretty hard to get without slowing down. So I'm just gonna have to come back for it later. Fortunately, you have plenty of time. Only lost like a couple seconds to that. Yeah, they do. Any star that is a star counts towards the star total. With the exception of the bronze stars that you get from activating the hint TVs, but... Or like getting the... No, not the hint TVs, the cosmic guide that shows up if you die too many times on a level. But, obviously, that's not going to be a factor in this run. And Grand Stars also count towards your star total. Yeah, the comments are basically, like, altered versions of levels. Like, for example, this one, it's kind of a repeat of Sky Station 1, but it's a bit shorter, and you're on a time limit. And then Galaxy 2 adds an extra twist, where some of the speedy comets have clocks that you need to collect in order to give yourself enough time to actually finish the level. Getting that first hit on Pee-wee Piranha is really hard. Because sometimes he just runs away and you have to chase him down for a couple seconds. And then if you do the second hit like that, it's basically free. Yeah, there's the speedy comments. The last comment you saw on Yoshi Star is a romp comment, where you have to kill a bunch of enemies in a time limit. There's Daredevil comments, which you won't see at all in this run, which is you have to get through the entire star with 1 health. That's what the perfect run is. I'm sure people who's watching this stream have probably heard of that star before. That's the 242nd star in this game. What else? There's Cosmic Clone comments. You'll see one of those in a couple stars from now. There's Purple Coin comments. There's a decent variety of them. Tall Trunk is a level that just... There's so many different things about this star. There's a lot of different strats you can go for. And it's another one of those stars where it's just kind of one thing after another. Messed that up, but not a big deal. Okay, that common metal grab is super awkward. You have to have just the right amount of height for that strat to work. And you're also doing that flutter straight backwards. And if you have to hold forward at any point, then you lose your ability to go backwards. So that can be a really, really tight flutter to hit. Nice. So that's a little strat that I want to say Jada found that strat. It's slightly slower for in-game time to fall down the chute like that, but it also allows me to avoid grabbing those coins, which ends up saving a little bit of time at the after the star. Because again, if you collect coins and you have text boxes that count them up, and that loses like a second each time. And of course, Yoshis are tools to be used and discarded, so you'll be seeing me ditch a lot of Yoshi. You've already seen me ditch a lot of Yoshis in this run. There will still be more, but luckily Yoshi is immortal and he will live forever, so it doesn't really matter. He always just respawns somewhere else if you dump him in a pit, so he never actually dies. Here's a Cloudy Court Comet. So weirdly, this comet, this is the first Cosmic Clone Comet in the game, and weirdly, it's required. You have to collect the star for any of the other Cosmic Clone Comets to spawn. Okay, I'm gonna try to do something a little bit weird. So if you just barrel reach the edges of these starships, the Cosmic Clones can actually just be prevented from spawning altogether in this first section. But I didn't get it, and it really doesn't mean anything in regards to the speedrun. Okay, now we get to one of the scariest stars in the run, which is Bowser Jr.'s Fearsome Fleet. And I'm going to be going for the riskiest strategy here. Of course, we have to sit through, like, a bit more of, like, cutscenes and stuff before we actually get to it. This is one of those stars where the strats I'm going to be going for are very high risk, low reward. So let's just hope it goes well. And again, there's a variety of different strats you can do for the first portion of this star.
Got a little nervous when I had to do some really fast flutters there, which can be really risky to go for, because if you accidentally press Z and then A at the same time, you dismount off of Yoshi, and obviously right there, that's really bad. And messing that final flutter up loses a minute. So I'm really thankful I got that first try. And I got the angle for it really, really quickly, too. Alright, and now there's this boss, which loves to go poorly when your sensor bar is not cooperating. Hold off on to do that third bullet bill, so that way you can actually stay in Yoshi's mouth through the cutscene. Sometimes that bullet bill just won't stay in Yoshi's mouth, and you have to waste a couple seconds grabbing a backup one. I think it's dependent on when specifically you grab the bullet bill, but who knows. Anyways, that was a pretty good Fearsome Flame. Run's actually been pretty solid so far. But that doesn't really matter because, again, no run of this game is over until it's over. Things can go south at basically any point. Which is kind of one of the annoying things about my playstyle, is that I kind of have to rely on playing super close to my summon best throughout the entire run. So if I make any significant mistakes, that's usually enough to just end the run right then and there. And we're going into World 4, which is a really long segment of the run, and also contains some of the hardest stars. And part of the reason this segment is so long is because there's a giant backtracking session in the middle of it. Which is just kind of by design of this route. Sweet Mystery is very similar to the last star I did, where it's just kind of just a bunch of infinite fluttering. Because the entire level is just one height, and you get Yoshi right at the start. And like with Fearsome Fleet, there's a lot of different variations on how you can do this star. Of varying speeds and risks. That was really good. Yeah, that was a high 258 split time, which is really good for me. Flipsville Galaxy is, especially Flipsville 1, I guess. Flipsville 1 is, I'd say, a viewer favorite. The route for this star basically just hasn't changed in the past, like, 10 years, I want to say. But it never fails to look super impressive. There's a bunch of gravity exploits you can do here to skip basically the entire level.
Yes.
Okay, that second skip only works if you do the first one. Oh, nice frame perfect ground pound. It's rare that I ever get those. Yeah, that's a very visually impressive looking level. Am I golding this? I golded that by like 0.4. I imagine that was mostly just the frame perfect ground pound. I don't know if my gold split in live, my gold sound effect in live split was picked up by my mic or not. But in case you didn't hear it, it was the extra live sound effect from Gradius Rebirth. Yeah, I gotta insert Gradius references even into a run like this. Yes, that is... Skipping that launch star is as simple as it just looked. As is this climb. In this room, it's just about making the right slack bowls. I'm surprised I got that side flip there. I didn't feel like I did that properly. Side flipping in this game is extremely hard to do, by the way, especially in 2D sections. Getting close to being halfway done with this run. Chompworks 1 is yet another star where Coast Star just completely breaks this level. Kinda. And you'll see what I mean very quickly. This is probably the star that Coast Star saves the most time on. So right there I used the Luma to hit that lever from really far away. which makes it possible to get through this section a little bit faster. This level kind of just is a bunch of auto-scrollers, but at the same time, there are ways you can speed up some of these sections. And then here is probably the single biggest time save that CoStar has in the entire game. So normally it's not possible to make it and lower this first platform before this chomp breaks, but with CoStar you can just hold the chomp in place and then lower the platform like that, and that by itself saves like, I don't know, 8 or 10 seconds. It's really, really massive. And again, that time save has been known about for a really, really long time. It's just that everybody considered CoStar to be too awkward to use in full game runs, but... Oh, I was trying to get a huge boost off that button, but I didn't get it. And it was only in the past few years that that dynamic has sort of changed. Is this another gold? Okay, no, it was barely not gold. Because a lot of that star is just kind of waiting around on cycles. As long as you don't make any mistakes, you tend to get similar slimes every single time. Alright, we're gonna do another backtracking session now. This will be the second of 3. So this star actually unlocks every purple coin common in the game. So I'm going to want to go ahead and do this now, plus it's just a really fast star to begin with. If I'd only missed one coin there, I would have just used the CoStar limit to grab it without losing any time, but I missed 2, so I just decided to go back to them. This is a super hard star to play optimally. And you can use CoStar to speed it up a little bit by grabbing some clusters of purple coins so that you don't have to go to them later, but I only use it to grab any purple coins that I may miss. Alright, time for Boulder Bowl. And this star is kind of funny because its position in the route has changed like 5 times. The star has pretty much always been in the route, but yeah, it used to be like during the World 2 segment, then we used to do it after World 4, and now we then we did it midway through World 4, and now depending on the route you use, you either still do it midway through World 4, or you do it at the very start of the game again. It's so weird. There's also a really big skip here I'm going to be going for. Okay, that went really nicely. So yeah, jumping off to the left like that and skipping that one planet saves about, like, a minute, at least. And there's several different variations of skips in this level. That's probably the... That one was introduced in about 2020 or so, and it's kind of become the standard. And now this boss is annoying. I think this is going to be a massive gold. Because that beginning strat I did where I killed some of those Octumbas with 2-player, I haven't actually successfully pulled that off in a run before, and I got a really fast skip. So I should be golding this by at least a couple seconds. Yeah. That was like a 3.5 second gold. I've been needing a decent gold on that split for a while now, so glad I finally got one. And here I due to a combining of sequence of events here, I was able to get up-warped out of the engine room to receive a letter from the mail toad, which saves a little bit of travel time on the starship. That's just another kind of routing quirk you can take advantage of. So now I'm going to be getting a letter star here. And yes, you can do the skip without Rock Mario as well. In fact, it's way easier. Messed up a little bit there. You can also soft lock there. Sometimes the cutscene just... Sometimes the game just gets stuck in that cutscene and you have to reset. It's not entirely known what causes it. But it's usually pretty rare. So at this point, I'm kind of just going to do a bunch of comments in a row. So this will be kind of a mixture of things you've already seen and some new content. Or I guess slightly new content. For example, this star is basically just Hytale Falls 1, but with a timer, and also the ending is set different. Kind of a lot going on at this part of the run, and this is also where I would at least say the pacing of this game picks up a tiny bit. This game is definitely a bit slower paced than Galaxy 1 is. So I'm actually going to be taking the launch star this time, because since I don't need the combat medal, I can do a faster ending here. So as for why that jump works, if I had to explain it, we would probably be here for a while. So just, I'm gonna spare you all the headaches and just say it works because it works. And because this game's physics are amazing. Boulder Bowl Comet is another star that's pretty much... This is just RNG the level, basically. This is one of those stars where if you're going off for PB attempts and your segment here is really good, you can pretty much count on losing time here. Because the crabbers just kind of do whatever they feel like doing. There isn't really any rhyme or reason to what they do. That was a waste of a roll. This is not going super well so far. Now the final feet. Oh my gosh, I keep missing crabbers. So that was definitely on the lower end of the spectrum for how this star could have gone. That was not great RNG, plus I just made a lot of mistakes, so I lost, like, I lost 15 seconds to my gold there. Whatever. It's fine, at the end of the day. So I'm gonna go fight Gobblegut again. And, aside from the sketchiness in the second phase, let's just hope that this fight goes exactly the same as last time. Gobblegut was moving in a weird direction there. So I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get that third hit or not. Okay, that's more like it. That was sketchy, but for a different reason. I didn't do the turnaround properly. Whatever, at least I didn't really end up losing time in the end. If you do that star properly, it's kind of just like an auto-scroller, where you're basically guaranteed to get the same time every time. But again, if you make one mistake, that fight usually just snowballs. And you end up losing, like, 30 seconds or more. So that's going to be the end of that cleanup session, but there's still a couple more comments I need to get here before we can actually move on to some new material. Starting with a couple purple coin comments, where, again, I'm going to be using co-star to try to speed them up. This star in particular is an absolute nightmare to optimize. Okay, this is... Okay, I got messed up on my cycles a little bit at the end. That wasn't too bad. A 102 endgame time on that star is pretty good for me. Even with the flimsiness that happened at the end there. And this star might be even harder. Because this time, we're back to having to deal with cycles. And this is yet another star where a single mistake can just snowball into 30 seconds of time loss, which is exactly what happened in my PB. I am local recording this run, so if there's any, like, tech issues or whatever, then... there shouldn't be too many problems with that. This isn't the optimal route to do here. But, this is just the route I'm comfortable with. I want to give a shout out to How to Cantaloupe for coming up with this route back in like 2018, I want to say. Ideally, I would have killed that fuzzy earlier. Ending was a little scuffed, but... Oh, and I got the instant star grab, let's go. That's very rare to get. It's very rare for me to get, at least, so... That saved back all the time from that scuffed ending. Okay, so we're finally done with comets for now. So, who here wants to see the spring mushroom? Well, I got bad news for you. Most of the star, it's just gonna be skipped. There's a tight cycle I'm going to try to make on this final planet here. So good. Nice. So making that cycle, I think, saves like 7 seconds, I think, somewhere around there. it's time for Bowser's Gravity Golem. This has always been one of the scariest galaxies in the run, just because there's several different skips you can do here that have massive time losses potentially attached to them for messing them up. Recently, runners have started implementing a skip known as Inside the Castle that I technically know how to do, but I'm not going to go for it. So I'm just going to go for the standard Behind the Castle that's been around pretty much since this game was discovered. It was discovered by a very old-school player named Paraxade. And honestly, no idea how this was... what made them even think of attempting this, but... you'll get to see it in action here. Hopefully I can get this. Alright, we're good. That is not as trivial as it may have looked. There's so many things that can go wrong with that skip. And messing it up is a massive time loss. So there's a slightly faster variant of what I did there, where you can, instead of having to lava boost behind the castle, you can instead do a 3-frame long jump. Well, it's not really a 3-frame window, but it's more impressive to say it that way. You can do a very precise long jump off that pillar, and do a different variation of the gravity exploit that lets you end up closer to the launch star. I do know how to do it, but I'm not very consistent at it, so I'm not going to bother going for it. But it does save quite a bit of additional time over what I did. This level scares me enough as it is, so I'd rather just go for what I'm comfortable with. And now I have another Bowser fight, where this time it's mildly more interesting. And he also throws 2 meteors instead of 1 for some stupid reason. This is the only fight in the game where that's like that. And yes, me waiting there was intentional. I was waiting to cancel one of Bowser's punches, so he would spawn these meteors a little bit faster. I was thinking I was gonna have to lure Bowser, but it worked out fine. I think this is fine. Okay. Bowser can actually punch out both meteors at the same time, and if you do that, then if that happens, then you're just kind of boned. So he was just close. He was just far away enough from that second meteor that didn't happen. Alrighty. Okay, so we got a little over an hour left at this point, and the past 2 hours, there have been a lot of crazy stuff, but Worlds 5 and 6 are definitely the hardest parts of this run. There's just... There's so much that can happen from this point onward. And I don't want to say anything and jinx it, but this run is on pretty good pace. So, I'll try to close it out the best that I can. So before I actually do anything in World 5, there's a couple more stars in World 4 I want to get. It's just better to get them now than it is to get them later. This is just Starshine Beach Galaxy. I meant to bounce on that crabber earlier. That flutter angle was not the best, but it's better to be too far back than it is to be too far forward. Because right there I only had to flutter slowly for a little bit. If you're too far forward, then you usually have to dismount off of Yoshi. And in certain situations that can be extremely bad. Easy as ever. That was not a particularly clean Starshine Beach one, but acceptable. This is one of those stars where it's just there's so many tiny things that can go wrong. It's very hard to get a clean run of it from start to finish. I only lost 5 seconds to gold anyway, so not a big deal. Starshine Beach 2 is another pretty fast star. There's a pretty easy skip you can do for it. That saves like a minute over the intended way. So again, that little camera turn that I did there was to manipulate the cycles of these clouds. So like I said, jumping off a cloud like that, you're not supposed to be able to stand on those clouds without the cloud suit or the bee suit. But you do have like a 6-frame window. I think it's either 5 or 6 frames to jump off of it before it disappears. Which sounds tight, but it really isn't. Chompworks Comet is a literal auto-scroller. So the only thing that really matters here is not making mistakes and losing time. That's not good. Okay, I'm actually gonna turn on my second player weird mode just in case I need to use this jump. So that's gonna cost me a couple seconds, but it's not that bad. I think this is gonna mean though that I am gonna get a new worst segment for this split. Being at 1 health there was a little bit scary. Yeah, I lost like a second. In other words, the run's dead. No. It really isn't. Yeah, that's like a little over a second off the perfect time. And a second behind what I normally get there. And I have to check. Surprisingly, that wasn't a worse segment. I don't know how, but it was. It wasn't. Apparently my actual worst segment there is 1 second slower. So now we're able to begin World 5 in earnest. That long jump took me like an hour to learn. The long jump that I did at the start of that planet there. And that was like 6 years ago at this point. That just goes to show how difficult some of the advanced strats in this game can be. Even back then. That's a checkpoint I definitely want to make sure I get. Wasn't sure if I was close enough to the star there. Star hitboxes are weird in this game. Sometimes you can be like several feet away from them and it still counts as collecting them. And other times it looks like you just kind of pass right through them. It's so weird. Space Storm 1 is actually another one of those stars that you have to collect in order to make progress in the game. There's no alternative star to get. Which means nothing, but it's just funny to point out. This star is another one that, if done well, is really fast. So to any fans of the GUI-based music, I'm really sorry. That was very clean.
Cheese Viking Games, thank you for the raid. Okay.
A little bit of a breather star up next. And we get back to all, and then we can get back to all the difficult stuff. So I don't actually do the Shiverburn stars in the optimal order. It's actually optimal to do Shiverburn 1 first, due to menuing being slightly faster that way. But I'm not comfortable with the cycles of doing Shiverburn 1 that way, so I'm just gonna stick to what I normally do. Alright, so this is going to be another chimp skating minigame, so if you want to guess what score you think I'm going to get. It's the same rules as last time, except this time the range of points to guess is from 600 to 900, but still in multiples of 10. And I think I got the exact same rotation twice in a row. Yeah, the patterns are literally the same as last time, and they can be rotating in the same ways. Should be able to get out. Jinx myself. All that really matters as far as time goes is whether or not you fail the minigame. I think that's the exact same score as last time. So, Jersey Joe's wins again. I could have gotten like 800 if I didn't get hit there and get thrown off. Okay, and now we get back into the hard stuff. Also, it's been a while since we've seen our, since we've really seen our co-star buddy, so I'm gonna call him back here just in case I need him for anything. I'll actually be keeping him on for the next couple stars. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's kind of rare, and also a little bit unfortunate. Hopefully that doesn't cause any problems. Should still be good. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna wuss out and do no RNG strats on this fight. Because this is really good pace and I don't want to ruin it. So I'm gonna intentionally skip hitting that first coconut and then hit the second one from far away. And doing the fight this way basically is it allows me to minimize the RNG, but it is about 10 seconds slower than the alternative strat. Oh, goodness. I'd really like to be at full health. Like I said, a big part of running this game just comes down to doing what you're comfortable with. So 150 of the star bits I need for all the Hungry Luma galaxies actually come from those mail toad letters. So that's kind of an interesting part of this run, I guess you could say. Okay, so the first star I'm going to do here, Blue Moon 1, is one of those, like, borderline stars that is technically fast enough for any percent, but only under, like, certain conditions. And depending on what other stars you do. And I have the co-star limit here, not necessarily for, like, any time-saving reason, but as a safety crutch. Nice, I got a frame-perfect camera cancel there. That's the place where you normally can't go into first-person mode, but you still can, but it has to be frame-perfect. So that jump is really tight, and everything below me is dark matter and instantly kills you. So, I could have used the co-star limit to grab that checkpoint. And there's a funky-looking skip. That skip was discovered by the old legend of this game, NE43, who held the SDA world record for this game for a long time, with a run that was very far ahead of its time. And was also the first person to get a sub-3 hour time in this category, back in, like, the end of 2019. Without Nemi, there's just no way this game would be anywhere near where it is today, I don't think. He pioneered a lot of different strats, and really pushed this game beyond what anybody else could for a long time. That mail toad letter is actually one of the reasons why Blue Moon 1 is a borderline star. Alright, so similarly to a Cosmic Oath, I don't want to accidentally select Blue Moon 2 here. Alright, we're good. So I'm getting the hidden star here, and this star mostly just kind of revolves around waiting on these snake blocks. I'm not able to do that fancy skip again. Right. Both times I got that long jump pretty cleanly. Should be able to... Now, wait until the end of the start. I'll use co-star to do that, even though I really didn't need to. So if you're playing this game casually, I would highly recommend just doing that instead of actually trying to ride that snake block the intended way. It saves a lot of time and honestly just makes that star so much easier. Upside Dizzy is definitely one of the most fickle galaxies in the run. Both of these stars are just so prone to small time losses. It's not uncommon for top level runners to get here and lose like just 20 seconds on both these stars combined. correctly, but whatever. Barely loses time. Okay. That was pretty clean. Yeah, because that hallway operates on a cycle, just any single mistake will just completely throw you off. Time for the secret star, which, much like right side down, this is just going to be another box burning minigame. Nice. Okay, and that first part is really good. That's unfortunate. At least I backed it up pretty nicely. How slight are we talking? Because that might be on my end. But if it was on my end, it shouldn't be that bad. Oh. Well, if I just accidentally... I accidentally clicked on the wrong window. I meant to open up OBS. Half a second. I don't know. I'd have to watch back the one. I do sometimes have issues with audio sync. I am local recording this run in case there's any, like, tech issues. I don't really have much to say about this star. You could use a co-star here to save a little bit of time, but I just choose not to. Mostly because if you do choose co-star, then you have to move around by skating, which makes turning a lot harder. So, just do it that way. And I ended up really far away from the star. Okay. Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker is not necessarily a difficult level, but a very stressful level. There's a couple of precise cannon shots I need to make here, which are also pointer-based. And when you're very nervous, like I'm kind of starting to get right. should be good. That might be a little high. That first cannon shot is ridiculously hard. And if you miss it, that's 35 seconds gone down. That's 35 seconds gone just, like, immediately. So, definitely don't want to mess that up. Okay, made it through there with basically no hiccups. Now I gotta do the boss fight. Boomsday. Sorry if I'm not talking much. Now I'm getting kind of nervous. And I'll say why in just a moment. That almost ended horribly. And this would be where Bowser Jr. canonically dies if Bowser's Fury didn't exist. World record is not possible. My best possible time is almost 4 minutes behind that. But I am on my best pace ever. That was my first ever sub 220 World 5. But that doesn't really matter because World 6 is where all runs go to die. Yeah, PB is very much possible, but it's gonna come down to World 6. I'll try not to let it get to me too much. Like, I'm not gonna be disappointed if this run doesn't PB. Because I can always get another run back here. But I'll do my best to close it out the best that I can. Okay, Melty Monster is probably the hardest part of World 6. This is three insanely difficult stars back to back, especially if you go for all the advanced strats. And basically any mistake kills your run. Or like any significant mistake, like a death. I was very clean for a section. I came very close to hitting a lava wall there, which would have been really bad. Okay. I wanted to get that checkpoint, but I don't think it's anything. Yeah, I kind of thought that was going to happen. Made the tornado cycle at least, but I kind of flubbed a little bit after that. Okay, things are happening right now, and I don't really know how to explain them. Okay. That was pretty sloppy. But it could have been a lot worse, so that's fine. It was only 10 seconds to gold, and I'd say about 8 seconds to what I would consider a decent split. The next star is the one to really be concerned about. Monster 2 is another pretty notorious level for ending a lot of runs, oftentimes to no fault of the player. I'm pretty sure the starship was actually Lubba's idea. Or at least that's what he says at the start of the game. There is a strat, a fast speed strat at the very end of this star that saves like 3 seconds, but I don't think I'm gonna go for it. Yeah, there's a strat called Zigzag Skip where you can skip having to hit those fences by just kind of rolling across the tiny gaps in the middle, but because this is PV pace, I didn't want to be bothered going for it. Because if you mess that up, that's 40 seconds. But also, if you don't go for that skip, then you're at the mercy of the fences because they can just bounce you off to the side for no reason. And then similarly with this star, there's some tech you can do to save time on some of these ramp jumps by skipping the ramp animation and just jumping to the next platform, but I'm not going to be going for any of that. Which is... It's a very risky strat to go for, but it's kind of a big deal, because if you get a bunch of ramp jumps, then you can save like 10 seconds. But I'm just going to play it safe. If this weren't a marathon run, I probably would actually consider going for it, but... So, aside from the 3 pins that I intentionally skipped, by not going for that 1 ramp skip and not waiting out the cycle, that was technically a perfect score run. You only have 6 spare pins for that entire star. So yeah, by not going for risky strats on the past 2 stars, I did lose 13 seconds to golds, but especially because this is a marathon run, I'd rather just get through those stars with as little damage as possible. And I'd say I did that pretty well. Thankfully, we're out of Melting Monster now, so I don't have to worry about that galaxy anymore. last time we will all be feeding. The next couple stars are pretty straightforward. There isn't a whole lot to say about them. I'm gonna turn co-star back on for this level, though. And this is, again, just to save like half a second by breaking the Yoshi egg. Which is totally worth it. I kind of want to point this out, though, because it might be kind of subtle if you aren't noticing it. But because some of the actions that the Co-Star Luma does involve shaking, and I'm playing with two Wii Remotes Velcro strapped together. So if I shake one Wii Remote, I'm very likely going to end up shaking the other. So I had to do a spin cancel long jump there in order to not lose too much speed. Anymore, so I'm gonna turn you back off. Okay, the next star is very much a resident sleeper level, which is very nice in a run like this. It's kind of it gives you a little bit of a break. Kind of nice that I had star bits in my inventory, because one of the fun things to do is just randomly see how many you can spit out before you get to the button. Yeah, basically the only reason this star is in the route is because you need to go down one of the two pathways to get to Bowser's Galaxy Generator, and the other pathway has a galaxy called Battle Dot, which is really annoying and really slow. Not that this star is fast, but it's better. That's like the only speed strat in this level, is getting that slow boost. So how's everybody doing today? Okay, I'm gonna try to do this last section coinless. This is somewhat tricky to do. You have just barely enough room to get around these coins. You also can't bonk onto the walls head on with the shell, because then you just lose the shell, and that's a bunch of time loss. So yeah, I just saved like about a second or so. Let's see if I can get this. I might be close enough to do the squeeze backflip.
I'll go for it, just because why not? But I might be too far away. Ah, I was too close. I misjudged. Yeah, if you get underneath Captain Toad like that, you can get his hitbox to push you out as you backflip into the star. And it can be a tiny bit faster, but the positioning is kind of precise. Right, and I'm good on combat medals. There's only one more I need to get. Okay. So it doesn't get any easier from here. Ten more stars to go. Starting with Clockwork Ruins. So this is going to be another Coin Luma star, and I can speed it up quite a bit by using Co-Star. But there's also a lot of cycles to worry about here, and dying here is really bad because it screws up the cycles in a way that's pretty much impossible to recover from. That's not great. Okay. I missed a point, but that's fine as long as I don't. Okay. That, I missed 2 coins there, but that's not a big deal. I'd rather have that than a death. Or missing a cycle. So not the fastest star, but this gives me access to Throwback Galaxy, which has fast stars. It's worth doing. So hey, I'm sure this level looks familiar. OMG, I'm 2.5 hours into the run and I'm still on Womps. I'm a bad speedrunner. Sorry, I had to make that joke. This part's really bad. It's very easy to get another one of those spin bonks there and you just fall all the way down. And it's super annoying because there really isn't anything you can do about it. Frame per ground pound? Oh, my ground pound input was slightly too late. That was bad text. Not a whole lot to say about this King Womp fight.
Unfortunately, Womp's Fortress is not quite as interesting to speedrun in Galaxy as it is in 64. At least that first star is. Throwback 2 and Comet are a bit more interesting. And I'm good on Comet medals because I need to have 32. And the reason why is actually for this Galaxy's Comet, because that requires 32 Comet medals. Throwback 2 is another one of those Silver Star missions. This is one of the few, I guess, galaxies in general in the game that kind of feels open world and isn't super linear. And this star definitely takes advantage of that. So as a result, in the speedrun, this star looks pretty cool. Sometimes I have trouble with that ending section, because again, the height you can get from those cloud-boosted jumps is somewhat variable. It really just comes down to timing. Alright, so at this point we just have 6 stars left to fill out the 70-star requirement, and they're all comets. So this will be the third and final backtracking session of the run. So I'm going to be heading back to Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet. I'm actually going to be doing a different skip from the one I did before. This is a skip that's kind of been outdated by the Inside the Castle skip I talked about earlier. But as I said, I'm not very good at that strat, and it saves even less time on this star. So I'm going to be going for a different strat that I would argue is much more visually exciting. Let's just say you're about to see Mario zoom from hitting lava. So hopefully I don't mess this up. So, yeah, there's that. That's actually another one of those skips that's way more precise than I made it look, and I really should have grabbed that clock. It's fine. You have to do direction changes at very precise times in order to get pulled into the gravity the right way. And if you fail it and die, that's 30 seconds. Okay, I got a couple of breather stars now. Starting with Starshine Beach Comet, which is a star that's a little too generous as far as purple coin comets go. Because you have 40 spare purple points. I don't think so. I don't think anybody's ever really attempted to, like, visualize the gravity spheres of, like, all the planets and stuff. '92 after that is really, really solid. Yeah, there's a lot of things about this game we don't really understand. Like, I've always been interested in seeing the gravity gauntlet skips with, like, alternate camera angles, just so you can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes, so to speak. And recently, we actually did have a runner who was able to get a hacked camera demonstration of the inside the castle skip I talked about. And it provided a lot of it. Like, it doesn't really, like, help make the trick more consistent, but it helps us, like, understand why it works the way it does. So, it's kind of cool to see stuff like that. I'm kind of one of those people who likes to understand why glitches and tricks and speedruns work the way they do. That's why I like Bismuth's channel so much. How's the Bismuth? This star is another pretty straightforward one. Yeah, I think there is, at least for the first Galaxy game, I think there is a decomp project going on. I'm not entirely sure. Because it would be nice to understand why things like the Boulder Bowl letter soft lock happen. But the problem is just, you know, decompiling a game like this is much more difficult than decompiling a game like Mario 64, for instance. Oh yeah, I can get a free 2p time save here as well. Or at least I can go for one. By the way, on the Anguish version of this game, it says that the blocks are moving in double time. It's actually 4 times as fast. And I just completely forgot to go for the 2p strat there. Whatever. So yeah, this game just... The star just straight up lies to you. This part's really, really scary. Okay. I kind of played it safe at the end there. You can make a slightly faster cycle than that, but I wasn't confident in my movement leading up to it, so I played it safe. It's definitely the right call. It only lost me like a second. Alright, so now we're gonna go back to World 6 and get the last 2 comets. So here's Throwback Comet. It's just Throwback 2 again, but with a timer. Like, a lot of the comments have kind of been similar to previous stars, but like there's been like slight differences in strats. No, this is like almost the exact same thing. The only difference is that the cycles at the beginning are slightly different because the intro cutscenes show different parts of the level. And again, if stuff isn't on camera, then it doesn't move. So making this cycle's a little bit tight. But if you make that, then the rest of the level is just the same. I was worried I was going to need to do an additional spin there. Oh, I grabbed a star bit at the last second. It's not a huge deal, it's just, it's always slightly annoying when that happens, because then you don't get the opportunity to shoot it out. Yeah, I grabbed 2 at the last second. Alright, just one more star before Galaxy Generator. And you would think this is somewhat of an anticlimactic star to be the 70th, but it's pretty difficult because there's a lot of multitasking involved, and I'm using Co-Star in order to kill a lot of these extra Octumbas, which makes it even more difficult. Now there's just a lot going on in the star at once, so it takes a lot of focus. That was pretty solid. I missed a couple star bit shots, but... yeah, getting a clean learn of that star is just hard. And in case anybody's wondering, yes, I am still on PB pace. In fact, this is PB pace by like 30 seconds. So, I still need a decent Galaxy Generator, but... Alright, you guys ready for the hardest skip in the game? Oh my gosh, I did it. It might not have looked like it, but I just saved 30 seconds. So that skip was known as a Purple Idiot skip. It was found by Oddme in 2015. Definitely a crowning moment of his speedrunning career. Definitely go check out Oddme, by the way. He doesn't stream a whole lot these days, but he's a very, very talented multi-Mario runner. He runs pretty much all Mario games, and he's very good at all of them. Anyways, this is Galaxy Generator. This is a really good final level. There's a lot of really cool strats you get to do here. I got that lava just a little bit tight there. This cylinder planet is another really tricky one because all these bullet bills like to just mess you up. That's another annoying thing. Sometimes you can try to talk to NPCs and jump instead, even though the text bubble does pop up. Alright, and now we get another infinite flutter skip. This is a really, really cool looking skip. I'm barely missing top shelf. You can land on the top platform with a really good flutter. But it's... you have to dismount pretty late into the flutter, so... it only saves a couple seconds if you get it. I happen to land directly on the pole, though, so that nullified a little bit of the time loss. Okay, so... pretty clean level, but it's still far from over. The final Bowser fight can just totally screw you over. And so, in fact, just a couple months ago, I had a run that was on slightly worse pace than this, but still PB pace, and it choked to the final Bowser fight. So I really do mean it when I say this run is not over until it's over. Because the thing with this final Bowser fight, or at least with this third Bowser fight, is that Bowser pulls out his punches very, very quickly, so you have very little time to react. And there's also just a lot of crap you have to dodge and stuff. Okay. And that should be good for the punch cancel. I normally use an audio cue in the music to time my, uh-oh, that's not good. Okay. Okay, that almost could have ended badly, because that was very close to the meteor timing out. Also, Bowser's shell can deflect the meteors, and the hitbox is actually a little bit bigger on this fight. So, that was extremely lucky. Third hit is definitely the hardest one to hit. Because you have a very short window to hit it, and if you hit Bowser too late, you can actually hit him as he's summoning in the meteors and cancel him. And you can cancel that attack by accident, so he just goes straight into the fire-breathing attack. And that's really bad. Okay. So we're almost done. I'm not going to bother making the jokes about how the run's almost over and time's coming up and stuff like that, because we've all heard those jokes a million times. Yeah, basically, as long as I don't lose 20 seconds on the actual final Bowser fight, this is going to be a PB. And it might actually be Nemi Bop. Oh no. You gotta wonder how Bowser was able to survive down there. Alright, just don't choke. Alright, that's gonna be a 258.29, I think. So that's a PB by about 25 seconds. I cannot believe I just did that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just peed. I think this is the first time I've ever PB'd in a run like this in a marathon, so... that was a really, really good run. And what's even better is that this is the exact kind of run I was looking for, so I can't believe I got this. Alright, get ready, and time. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, man. Oh, man. I don't think I really have words to say about that. That was just really good. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little showcase of, Galaxy 2, any percent. Certainly went a lot better than I could have predicted, but hey, you know, speedrunning tends to surprise us sometimes. And with that, that's basically it for me. So I will see you guys on Monday, where I've PB'd in 2 out of 3 games so far this marathon. Maybe I can PB on the 3rd one. I'll see you on Monday, where I'll be running another SM64 ROM hack. So thanks for watching, thanks for having me, thanks for giving me the opportunity to get this insane time, and enjoy the rest of the marathon.